tiny little meetup, and I think there was beginning to be awareness of what big data was, and now it's kind of turned big data analytics.
I'm not so excited about the data. I'm actually more excited about the innovation that comes from data, which is, can someone tell me, okay, I'm not sure I'm going to respond, but can someone tell me what's one of the oldest form of data-driven innovation in the world? One of the oldest one is actually maps.
Is we leverage technology, I think quite well to solve those problems. And it's a very, very simple application, an extension of our social mission, which is the Smart Data Partnership.
What I find interesting about open data is that we're going through the same sort of growth curve, if you like. So I mean, there's emerging interest in open data.
But we've gotten to a stage where we're mature enough that we can actually give back in terms of data.
We have been using data analytics for the longest time. It's just that we got better at it over time.
I think the tricky question, the grey area, is the monetisation of open data, which I think a lot of people don't quite get at the moment because it's quite grey.
So we've partnered with the World Bank to help them create what's a traffic data platform called Open Traffic. And that will help governments improve traffic congestion and road safety in Malaysia, but also the code for this is it's all open source. So provided that other governments around the world are able to get data somehow, I mean, we can help in the 6 countries in which we operate, but provided that other governments are able to get the data somehow, they'll be able to implement that in their countries as well.
Now, if you go to the transparency report, which we publish every 6 months, you're able to see how many requests, say for instance, the Malaysian government has submitted to Google Inc. for either takedown based on court orders, administrative orders, or based on police orders, right? So you actually can see from there what kind of, was it a content down, was it a user data request or something else? So you can actually explore the transparency report to get some information on that. And if you're feeling cheeky, you can always ask the regulator for an answer, right?
The coalition GIAT is going to send these policy recommendations to several ministers in government who we think are interested in promoting even more transparency. And I'm just going to read out some of the 5 principles and recommendations that we think needs to be carried out. So the coalition will submit that number 1, open data and licensing for open data barometer categories for innovation, social policy, and accountability. We will say that government data should be made in an open data format as well as under open licensing terms that place very few restrictions on what anyone can do with the data. Number 2, government information that are not threats to national security should be available by default. Number 3, budgets of all government agencies, federal, state, and local, including ministries, should not only be made available online, but in open data formats. There should be legislation to ensure that expenses of certain amounts be published on a regular basis for all government agencies. All government agency procurements, including direct negotiation contracts, must be published and available in open data format, providing information on value, company information, and names of directors. Number 4, legislation that requires public disclosure of income and assets for elected and senior public officials must be enacted, and the data must be made publicly available. And finally, on number 5, to enable electronic communication of parliamentary information, including parliamentary proceedings, like written replies, attendance records, and expense claims, should be made available to the public.
Yeah, the objectives must be SMART. Remember SMART? SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound as well. So what does it mean? That to be more specific, we want our open data commitment clearly articulate what the government wants to accomplish, outlining concrete activities that do need to be implemented. Measurable, we want our open data commitment benchmarked through the use of measurable target and milestone. Actionable, we want our open data commitment to explain the open government goals that are need to be achieved, and the methodology being used as well. Relevant, we want the open data commitment address open data and open government issue rather than broader government reform. And lastly, time-bound. We want open data commitment specifically specify a realistic deadline by which the progress towards implementation can be demonstrated.